Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley set a program record with 461 yards of total offense against Ohio State, and it didn't matter. Wasn't enough. The Buckeyes still won because on the game's most important play, Trace McSorley had the ball taken out of his hands. I am not Mina Kimes.
Cease and desist, Mina.
That is Kyle Brackey, and this right here is Bootleg. On today's show, we'll rap a little bit about the never-ending transfer quarterback controversy that seems to engulf college football on a weekly basis. We'll talk some Trevor Lawrence, which naturally will lead us into conversation about Kelly Bryant, which naturally will lead us into conversation about Jalen Hurts. The narrative on at least two of the three has already been set, but it might not be what you think. We will talk Notre Dame and Kentucky, both trending up.
Okay.
We'll talk some Penn State, a little Mississippi State, not so much trending up, but it's okay. But before we get to any of that, very big week. The most important thing on the menu, it's OU Texas week.
Yeah, it's a big deal around here, being that we are in Austin, and you are a former Sooner.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong side of it here, but
Yeah.
I don't care. That's okay. I'm not biased,
sure.
though. I mean,
you're fighting a good fight. But yeah, no, it's really exciting. First time they're playing, as both teams are ranked since 2012. So
well, that's because Texas.
Absolutely. Oklahoma's been ranked every single year.
Thank you for mentioning
Texas just did not hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
But they are this year.
So welcome back, Texas. Welcome back.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll find out Saturday.
Are they back?
I'm not willing to call them back. We beat an average USC and appears to be average TCU team.
Yeah.
So we'll find out Saturday.
Rivalry aside, this is a game that everybody should attend at least once. It is. I've not been to Michigan, Ohio State, or Ohio State, Michigan, or however they prefer that we say that. But this is one of the coolest rivalry environments that you'll ever.
Are you going?
Yeah, I will. Probably not go to the game.
Just be at the fair.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've done the game, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And it's always awesome, don't get me wrong, but the ticket prices are not always awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I have the hookup this year. I feel like I don't have much of a hookup this year, and I don't really want to spend $500 to take my wife to the game. And I can't go without her. I've tried that before. It didn't go well. So, yeah, what we'll probably do is fully participate in the Friday night festivities.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday, game day is obviously there. So we'll probably get up, go check out the festivities around the Cotton Bowl, and then roll over to Deep Ellum. It would be my guess to watch the game over there with some folks.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since you have been involved in this rivalry, you know it. As an Oklahoma person, do you feel that is unfair that it's played in Dallas every year, or what? Like,
no, not at all. And matter of fact, there was for a period of time, there was like some back and forth about whether or not they should make it a home and home.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't hate that idea more if I tried.
Really?
Yeah. First of all, little known fact, Bracky, Dallas actually has the largest constituency of OU alumni of any city in the United States.
That is a fun fact.
And therefore the world. So it never feels like an away game. It doesn't really feel like you're in.
I know the stadium's always like split 50-50.
Yeah, but so is Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, obviously, I'm going to places where it's generally a OU partisan crowd, but it has never felt like anything other than a 50-50 split.
Okay.
And it's almost to the minute the same drive time from Norman and Austin
Yeah, I know
to Dallas.
it's like right in the middle.
Yeah, no, we love it. It's one of my favorite things to do every year. I mean, my cousin went to Oklahoma before I ever did. And so she kind of got me started on it. She took me to my first OU Texas game with her husband, and I've been hooked ever since. So Dallas is always something we look forward to. Oklahoma cancels classes on Friday every year before this game, so everybody can leave out on Thursday and drive down, or Friday morning. And it's a big deal. I mean, even when Texas can't hold up their end of the bargain, we still circle this date on the calendar.
I'm sure it's always fun to beat them down when they're not very good.
You know, it's funny though, and maybe I'll get to this a little bit later in the cover 4, but it doesn't ever seem like it matters what happened before the game or what happens after the game in terms of the narrative of the game itself. Like, it's always just totally in a vacuum. they say like in a rivalry game, just throw out the records because it doesn't matter. But in this, it really doesn't ever seem to. And there have been years when Texas was up a little bit and we were down a little bit, and we would come out on top or vice versa.
I think Charlie Strong game a few years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like 3 years ago now, I think Baker's first year as the starter, maybe.
Yeah, that would have been his first year. Yeah. Well, and when Landry Jones was quarterback at Oklahoma, the darkest period of my life as someone who watched, followed, participates in the OU fandom. When Landry was there, they owned us. So, but that's been a really long time ago.
I think Pittsburgh Steelers fans share your hurt on that one. He was pretty bad.
That was never going to work. That was literally never going to work.
God, he was awful.
I do have some advice though for any first-time OU Texas goers,
okay.
or even people who make repeat trips but just are doing it wrong. First of all, if you're over the age of 25, I recommend that you don't go to Uptown. Now that comes from someone who went to Uptown every year for 5, 6, 7 years. But Uptown's crazy. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Blackfriar Pub, by the way. It's my favorite spot for OU Texas Week, but I feel as though I might have aged out of the Blackfriar Pub scene. Yeah. Uptown's going to be a zoo. Lower Greenville's going to be a zoo. So my recommendation is the neighborhood in Dallas that I lived in for 2 years before I came here, and that's Deep Ellum, which I kind of already mentioned. But Deep Ellum has negative connotations with people who are not from Dallas or just people our parents' age. When Katie and I were moving to Deep Ellum, her godparents were both kind of taken aback at the idea of us moving to Deep Ellum because they remembered it for what it was. But it's honestly one of the most revitalized parts of the city. There's so many great spots.
It sounds pretty ominous, the name.
It does, but it also sounds kind of cool. I don't know. I always like saying I was living in Deep Ellum.
Yeah,
it's not ominous. It's all good. It's really conveniently located to downtown if you're staying downtown. And, again, the bar scene there now is far different than it was even 3 or 4 years ago. So that's my first recommendation.
Okay.
Deep Ellum on Friday night. Or if you're like me and you're not going to the game on Saturday, Deep Ellum on Saturday would also be a pretty good spot to watch the game. There are some other options, but I won't sit here and list off bars in Dallas that will have the game on. They'll all have the game on. It's really just about finding a place where you have a comfortable spot and not a crazy line at the bar. So I feel like that probably will fit the bill. What else? If you are going to the game or if you just want to go check out the game, don't drive to Fair Park. It's a really terrible idea. There's going to be a million people. The parking is going to be a nightmare. Fair Park, not the nicest part of Dallas. So it makes a whole lot more sense to, depend on wherever you are, just find the nearest DART station and take the DART to the game. And it will drop you off right at the entrance of the State Fair.
There you go.
And I cannot guarantee that someone won't pee on the train while you're on it, but if you can deal with the little urine stench, then you'll be good to go. So just, put your mind somewhere else, maybe focus on your phone, don't look up, don't make eye contact, and just get out and go watch the game. And then when you're done, you don't have to worry about walking to your car. You don't have to worry about parking. Just hop back out there on the train. And no, you're not going to be able to move. You're going to be shoulder to shoulder. But as long as you can get off at your stop, it's all good. Whether or not you're coming from downtown or the suburbs really doesn't make a difference with that either. Because if you're in the suburbs, I even recommend it more. Because who wants to... I put it this way. 75 was such a parking lot my second year at OU Texas that literally people were outside of their vehicles playing catch in the middle of the road. So that is just one of a myriad of reasons that I recommend taking public transit and not messing with your car here. And then as far as when you're at the State Fair of Texas, because for those of you that don't know, all four of you that don't know, this game is played during the State Fair.
Yep.
And Fletcher's Corn Dogs, or Corny Dogs if you prefer, is a must stop. Got to go to Fletcher's.
People say corny dogs?
They do when they're talking about Fletcher's, and I don't know why.
Oh.
I don't know why. This was the third fight I ever had with my wife was about if they were called corn dogs or corny dogs.
That's pre-crime.
They're corny dogs, I think, in this one particular instance in life. Any other time, it's a corn dog.
Yes.
And that you have to get the original. because naturally, but you also need to go ahead and get the jalapeno cheddar and get them both at the same time because the line is going to be really long and you don't want to mess with that.
I bet there's some good food at the fair.
Phenomenal food. Now, there's also some food that's going to leave you feeling not so phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
The corny dog is safe, though. You can eat a corny dog and you're feeling all right. But I don't recommend the, bacon jalapeno margarita, frozen margarita.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, put that on the list of things. Does it sound disgusting?
Oh, it sounds gross to me.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, it sounded awesome to me the first time I tried it. And it's like green syrup in a cup. It's not really frozen by the time you get it. And it's really terrible.
Yeah.
And your stomach will not forgive you for like 4 days after you consume that. And last but not least, just know going in that you're going to donate some money to the State Fair of Texas because you can't actually spend cash at the fair.
Okay.
You have to buy coupons. And you buy everything with a coupon. And there's literally... a beautiful mind could not figure out how to ration the coupons in such a way that you spend exactly what you spent on the coupon, if that makes sense. So another pro tip is when people are leaving, they will give away their coupons because you can't spend a coupon anywhere else in life other than the State Fair. So just know that you're probably going to waste some money. But you can also then play that on the flip side. You can make some money if you enter by the exit and you keep an eye open for people who are staring at their coupons, like, what am I going to do with these? Yeah. You can help them out with that.
Yeah, take
them off their hands. I have an idea. You can donate them to me, and I will, carry on the good fight. And that's pretty much all the advice I have other than wear crimson and cheer for OU.
That's good advice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is that enough about OU? Did I talk enough about Oklahoma?
I'm sure you'll talk about more later.
Probably will. In news that people outside of Norman and Austin care about, Clemson's got some issues, man.
Yeah.
So Dabo named Trevor Lawrence the starter after Game 4. And we said here last week that it was curious timing because obviously if Kelly Bryant would have started Game 5 on Saturday, well, he would be stuck at Clemson for the rest of the year, which would then be his last year.
Yep.
But Dabo flipped to Trevor Lawrence after Game 4. And I thought that Dabo probably did that because he's a stand-up guy and he wanted to give Kelly Bryant the option to go elsewhere if he wanted to go elsewhere. But in every interview I've heard with Dabo since, it didn't sound like a guy who really thought Bryant was going to leave. And I'm guessing he probably may have done that a little differently now in retrospect because naturally, as soon as Kelly Bryant said, "I'm out," Trevor Lawrence got hurt. And then Clemson went from having 500 quarterbacks to having no quarterbacks, or so it seemed.
Yeah.
And then Chase Bryce? Yeah, Chase Bryce came in and actually played pretty decent.
He wasn't bad at all. And it's funny how it works out. We talked all week, like, if Lawrence does get hurt, like, Clemson could be in serious trouble. And then, what do you know? Second quarter, he leaves the game. Now it sounds like he's going to play this weekend against Wake Forest.
Yeah, I guess he practiced like 48 hours after, but it didn't look good at the time.
No, it didn't. It was a nasty hit, and his neck moved in a weird way. So you weren't – and I was watching the game, and it wasn't sure if it was a neck or concussion. It sounds like it was concussion symptoms. But what are the odds that, the first game he starts after Kelly Bryant leaves, he's hurt. And then, of course, the rest of the game, the announcers are like – Dabo said that he'd be open to Bryant returning to the team.
That's all they talked about.
And that he's well-liked by his teammates, and they would be open to him returning. And, I was listening to it. I was like, man, I feel like that ship has sailed. And it sounds like it has. He has not returned to the team, and it sounds like Trevor Lawrence is going to start again. We kind of hit on this in one of the first podcasts. It seemed like Dabo was handling the quarterback situation perfectly, and Saban wasn't, and I'm not sure Saban's handling it perfectly. He is just like manipulated it the way he wanted it to happen, but he also didn't have Jalen Hurts leave.
True, and you've already seen a little bit of this because of how it has all played out now. You're gonna get a lot of Kelly Bryant is selfish, kind of a me first guy. There obviously Twitter is Twitter, but there's a lot of chatter on Twitter during the game about, if I'm a Clemson player, I don't even want Kelly Bryant back for putting us in this position and what have you. And on the flip side, now Jalen, who got a standing ovation from Alabama fans after he ran out on Game 5 because they knew what that meant. Jalen is going to be the anti-Kelly Bryant now. He's the team first guy. He's the guy that put Alabama before himself and what have you.
What a guy. What a class act.
Both with a broad brush, and neither are necessarily accurate. With Kelly Bryant, the situation was different because, with Jalen, he's a guy that played as a true freshman, played as a true sophomore. He's got, even if he plays out the year this year, he's got a full year next year where he can play. And he still has a red shirt in his back pocket as well, just as insurance if all does not go well wherever he chooses to go from here. I think it's pretty clear that he and his camp, I don't believe that Saban fooled Jalen Hurts into staying through 5 games. I really think that Hurts and his camp took a look at it and made the assessment that it behooved him to go ahead and stay at Alabama this year, continue to get all the second-team reps. And I'm actually, from everything I've
It's 50-50,
read, it's 50-50
like.
split, right?
Yeah,
so
during practice,
it's not even second-team reps. He's still getting reps with the ones. He's staying sharp. He's staying, involved in the game and in the game plan. And whereas Kelly Bryant now is going to go away from football until January, whenever he goes wherever he goes. And Kelly Bryant didn't start as a true freshman or a sophomore. He's already used his red shirt. Last year and this year was all he had. So it's pretty easy to sit here and say, yeah, Kelly's team guy and Jalen's team guy and Kelly's me guy. But Jalen had a lot of luxuries that Kelly doesn't have in this situation. And Kelly Bryant wanted one more year, apparently, where it was his team. In order to get that, he had to leave. Jalen did not have to do that. Jalen can stay with Alabama, play it out. Who knows what happens with Tua? Football's a rough game.
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
know. It could be Jalen standing there with confetti falling on his head after the national championship.
Tua's yet to play in a fourth quarter of a game yet.
I know, I heard that.
He has not taken a
radio.
snap in the fourth quarter of a game yet. So, like you said, let's see what happens when he has to play 4 quarters.
Yep.
I don't think anything's going to change, but it's more time on the field and more opportunities for him to possibly get hurt.
And think about it like this, too. Even if everything goes according to plan for Alabama and Tua, the current Heisman frontrunner wins the Heisman and Alabama wins the national title and Jalen leaves at the end of this year and plays one more year somewhere else, he'll have 40-plus starts under his belt. He has all the body of work that you need to be evaluated fully at the next level. He really didn't stand to gain that much by bailing midseason to keep another year of eligibility.
That was his thing, too, that he said. I remember when they let him talk at media day and he kind of went off about the whole situation. He was like, I don't know why anyone even questioned if I was going to be back. He's like, I only have to take a few more classes to graduate. So I think then it kind of was like, okay, he's at least going to be at Alabama this semester until he graduates school.
Right.
And as you mentioned, he still has a red shirt to play with if he wants to. I think he is going to leave.
Oh, yeah, he'll definitely leave.
For sure.
But
like you said, if it doesn't work out, maybe he gets banged up early in the season next year, wherever he goes. He's still got that red shirt year to play with and another year eligibility. Kelly Bryant doesn't have that if he doesn't redshirt. He has 1 year of starting experience, which I'm sure he's not very happy with the tape he put out and the numbers he put up. So now if he wants to have another shot to start and show what he can do, he needs to go somewhere else. So I do not blame him one bit.
I floated this last week in a piece of content on the site, but where do you think, in your heart of hearts, where do you think that Kelly Bryant ends up?
Well, I really didn't have an idea where he would go or even the potential landing spots before I read your article. But after reading your article,
I'm just here to inform the masses, Bracky.
I know. Well, no, it was very good. I didn't know that, you had who his lead recruiters were and where they are now and the people that had good relationships with them and the fit with the offense. It was a really good article. And I got to think that the 2 front runners are Arkansas and then Auburn and that's guessing that Stidham declares for the draft, which it seems like is going to happen.
I don't even know. Awkward moment when you have water stuck in your throat. Yeah, Stidham he's a hell of a pro prospect. The issue at Auburn is their offense is not working right now, and I don't know why it's not working. The offense has been Gus Malzahn's baby for the entirety of his career. I mean, that's where he made hay early on as a coordinator. That's why he got where he is now. And it would seem that Stidham is the perfect quarterback to run that offense, which if you're Kelly Bryant or you're Kelly Bryant's team, I don't know if that gives you a little pause in that, we like to sit here and say that Gus needs a dual-threat quarterback to really get the offense going. But the only quarterback that has truly maximized that offense in that regard was Cam Newton.
A freak athlete.
And if you have a little prior knowledge of the offense that Gus Malzahn and then at the time Rhett Lashley would like to run, it's not like Cam was running that offense on schedule. Cam did a lot of ad-libbing. Cam did a lot of ignoring second and third reads and just doing what he does.
Just being the best player in the country.
Yeah, when you're Cam Newton, you can use your athleticism to overcome maybe a disregard for portions of the offense that you're not in love with. And I think we saw that during Cam's Heisman season, and I don't know. I'm kind of torn right now as to whether or not the offense that Malzahn wants to run at Auburn can even work anymore in its current iteration. And obviously he's on a different coordinator now. Lashley's been gone for 2 years, but I don't know. We just haven't seen an Auburn offense really have a lot of success aside from that run that Kerryon Johnson went on last year for a little bit. All that to say that Auburn seems like the obvious choice, right? National championship contender, runs an offense that keys on a dual threat quarterback. But if you are Kelly Johnson, if you are Kelly Bryant, I don't know. I think there is a little cause for concern there, not to mention the fact that Auburn has no shortage of talent in that quarterback room. Not to say that anybody is Kelly Bryant in that room, but if you go to a program like Arkansas, I can tell you right now.
That's the thing, is you're going to walk in and you're going to be the day one starter.
Your job.
Yep.
Your team.
Yep.
And not only is the fan base going to be freaking electric when you walk in because you're there, the team is going to rally behind you immediately because I promise you right now, there are some guys on that team that might like Ty Story a lot. There are some guys on that team that might like Connor Noland or whoever would be the competition for that job, but no one is so over the top in love with their teammate that they would ever question Kelly Bryant being the QB1 when he walked in.
Right.
And Chad Morris, I won't say unlike because that's a little much, but what I will say is that Chad Morris has proven that his system can work with quarterbacks who are not perfectly suited to run it. And he's also shown that his system with quarterbacks who are perfectly suited to run it, a la Taj Boyd at Clemson, they can do some pretty wonderful things. And if you're looking for a coach who has some ex-players who are willing to rally behind him, then Morris is the guy at Arkansas. Taj Boyd came out immediately and said that he felt like Kelly Bryant's best option was Arkansas, and he has no ties to the U of A. He had no reason to say that, really, aside from the fact that he believes in what Morris is trying to do. And another guy that Morris didn't coach because he left before he got there, but another guy that I know for a fact is he's very close to, and that he would definitely trumpet his success is Deshaun Watson. I guess Morris was there for year one of Deshaun?
Probably.
Sure, we'll say that. Year one of Deshaun. But Morris and Deshaun are really, really close. And if you're Kelly Bryant and that's the guy you played behind for a couple of years at Clemson and you want to try to emulate his success at the next level, who better to get behind than Chad Morris to do that? So, we'll see how it goes. And you never know how things like this will work out. He might end up in East Carolina for all we know. But I feel like Kelly Bryant's a competitor. I feel like he'll have a little chip on his shoulder and he'll want to go to a program where he feels like he can prove something. And Arkansas is about to go 2-10. So you go to Arkansas and you go 7-6, and that's measurable success. Whereas if you go to Auburn and you go 8-4, you're a failure.
Right.
Look at it like that.
I think it's a great fit.
Another quarterback situation that really was never a situation after all was at Notre Dame, where we thought Brandon Wimbush was the guy. No one could really figure out why he was the guy. Then they go to Ian Book last week. Book looks really good in start number 1. I'm jumping on his bandwagon like crazy, and then against Stanford, he made anybody who had confidence in him look pretty smart with another great performance. But I think the deal with Book, it's not that Book is coming in and throwing for 400 yards, and he's just this incredible thrower of the football, which he is. He's very above average, but his ability to run the entire offense opens up the ground game. And again, we mentioned that last week, but then they get Dexter Jackson back from his 4-game suspension, and all he does is run for 161 yards in their win last week. Notre Dame, I legitimately said they would lose 2 or 3 times when asked, like 2 weeks ago. And now I'm telling you, I think they're going to the playoff. They have a couple of little bumps in the road at the very end of the year. But if you look at their schedule, it plays out pretty good for them. Obviously, Virginia Tech is up this week, but I really don't think the Hokies are going to have much for them. I think that you might disagree with that.
Maybe.
But Syracuse at Yankee Stadium could be a 9-1 Orange team that has proven to be able to go toe-to-toe with a program like Clemson, so maybe that's something to look out for. And then at the end of the year with USC in the finale, the Trojans are always vastly improved at the end of the year relative to the way they start under Clay Helton.
Yep.
I don't really get it, but that's always how it goes.
No,
And JT Daniels being, I don't know if you know this, but he should still be a senior in high school.
Yeah. Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And so considering that, he will obviously be much improved at the end of the year.
Of course.
When, he should have still been a senior in high school, but now he's got a year playing at USC.
I was with you. I was like, this Notre Dame team, they barely win against Ball State. They barely beat Vanderbilt. They're going to lose a couple games along the road. Like, you just can't keep squeaking by week after week after week. And then they made the switch of book. They'd gone 6 straight games without scoring 24 points. His 2 starts, they're averaging like 43.
Is that good?
That's very good. Confirmed.
Okay.
And like you said, the running game is just on fire right now. Not very many bumps in the road. I mean, this might be the team that does it.
I mean, it's crazy what happens when you're not running against 7- and 8-man boxes anymore.
Yeah.
With Brandon Wimbush, that's what they were looking at because no one had to really respect the vertical passing game. And now, all of a sudden, the defense has to be honest. And when the defense is forced to be honest, and the Notre Dame offensive line has an opportunity to have success, and I mean, they've been road graders out in front of and it's not just Jackson, it's the entire running game that has seen success since Book came in to play. I've been really, really impressed with Kentucky, and I didn't believe in them right away.
I didn't either.
But,
I'm ready to apologize.
When we think of Kentucky, we think of, or at least speaking for myself, when I think of Kentucky, I think of Tim Couch. I think of Andre Woodson. I think of, aerial passing attacks.
The hefty lefty, Jared Lorenzen.
I don't always think of Jared Lorenzen, but you're right. I should think of Jared Lorenzen as well. And how could I miss him? Tim Couch, Andre Woodson, and Jared Lorenzen are quarterbacks who you immediately think, okay, well, if Kentucky is winning, that must be how they're winning.
Yeah.
And that's not this team.
Nope.
This team is built in an image of their head coach. This is Mark Stoops all over the place. It's blue collar, gritty, grind them out. They've got a defense that has been outstanding all year long. Last week was the first game this season. I think I should have checked, and I might lie, but I don't think I will. I think last week or a few days ago was the first time this year that they have allowed more points than they did in the previous week. Because they really caved in and they gave up 10 points to South Carolina. Yeah. And they only gave up 7 the week before. So it was a massive failure on their part. But I'm sure they'll bounce back this week. Defense has been great. Needless to say, Benny Snell has been amazing. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate at this point. Snell, yeah. And, they're no fluke. And the schedule's a little weaker than you would expect for an SEC program, as you pointed out earlier today.
It is surprising. I want to get it right. But how disrespectful is it? They are the undefeated team. They are ranked 13th now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They are 5-point underdogs at A&M.
5.5.
That is crazy.
I know.
No, well, I know they're going there, and people still don't. Vegas doesn't trust this team still.
No, they don't.
And I literally said last week, I was like, "Do you trust Kentucky?"
I still don't know if I do.
Right. And
only reason I say that is that if they play a team that can defend against the run, I don't know that they have the quarterback play in Terry Wilson to keep the defense honest.
He has not been good this year. 2 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. And that's what worries me. But the defense has been good enough to keep you in games.
Yeah, 5 picks doesn't look great, but I think more often than not, they've only asked Wilson to make safe throws. The majority of his interceptions have come on plays where they've actually asked him to push the ball vertical, not his strength. So, offensively, at least in the passing game, Wildcats still probably a work in progress, but when you've got that running back.
Yeah, so they could face a test this weekend. Texas A&M only gives up 80 yards on the ground a game.
I know you stole my fact.
Dang it, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just thought of it when you said they could go against a good rushing defense, and I looked it up.
Yeah.
Third, the defense, third in the nation, giving up points, only 13 a game. And that schedule that we alluded to, so you go to College Station this weekend, which will not be easy. But then a home game against Vanderbilt, then you go to Missouri, and then the likely loss in that stretch is Georgia. But then you go Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, and Louisville to close the season. I mean, at worst, 9-3.
Yeah.
You lose this weekend. You lose.
Yeah.
You lose to Kentucky. Maybe, I don't know. That's maybe Missouri too. But at best, 11-1.
At best, 11-1. Yeah.
At worst, 9 wins. Dang, like that is.
That's a hell of a year for Kentucky.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, that season-ending game against Louisville is not what it. Lamar Jackson's not walking through that door.
They beat Lamar Jackson.
I know, and he's still not walking through that door. In fact, that's a pretty decent segue into Free Smoke this week, which is brought to you by Kyle Brackey. This is primarily your axe to grind, so proceed.
Yeah, this is the third time Free Smoke has revolved around poor coaching decisions late in the game with a lead. And so Louisville led Florida State by a field goal with, let me make sure I get this right, with 1:56 left in the game. Okay? First and 10 at the Florida State 19-yard line. Okay?
Got it.
The Seminoles do have all 3 timeouts. Okay?
Okay, it's helpful.
What would you call on first down?
I'd run the ball.
Right. You wouldn't let your quarterback, who on the year has 4 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, throw the ball?
Probably not.
Right. Well, they did, and it was intercepted. And then 5 plays later, Florida State scored the game-winning touchdown. And then you get the ball back with 36 seconds to go and throw another interception.
It's not good.
That's not good. You have a chance. A Louisville team that has been struggling, and I know Florida State's not what they are, but you still have a chance at home to beat Florida State. Run the ball 3 times. If you get a first down, great, you win the game. If you don't, you kick a field goal, you give the ball back to Florida State with barely a minute to go and no timeouts, and they have to go 80 yards. And you're up 6, so they have to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
This is likely the last year for Bobby Petrino in Louisville.
Well, that's what I was about to ask.
I think it is. All the scandals and everything that happened there. There's a new AD. He didn't hire Petrino. He's not a Petrino guy. The program is not trending in the right direction, which is crazy because 2 years ago they had a Heisman Trophy winner. But last year did not end well. This year is not trending well. I think
it's safe to say this year is not going well.
Oh, no. You barely beating Illinois State and blowing this game, which looked for sure a win.
You shouldn't fall. I don't care who you lost. You should never fall from 3rd in the country in total offense to 120 in total offense, which is where Louisville ranks right now. And needless to say, I have a lot of familiarity with Bobby Petrino and points of his career. The success he had at Louisville was not a fluke.
No.
It's been replicated elsewhere. But like you said, Vince Tyra did not hire him. Jurich is not walking through that door. Nor is Lamar Jackson. But
Papa John ain't walking through that door.
Papa John also not walking through the door. No one is walking through the door that has been walking through the door over the last couple of years for Petrino. And it does kind of feel like that his welcome at Louisville and his return is kind of, we're approaching the point where they need to do something different.
It's just that whole athletic department is just like at reboot right now.
You kind of have to.
At least the revenue sports, it's
look, Louisville's been really good in a lot of different sports for the last few years, but at some point, it just gets to feel not good.
Right.
Bad feelings. So, right now you're basically a head football coaching change away from completely revamping what people know of Louisville.
Yep.
And you can defend Bobby Petrino being the head coach at Louisville. And look, at Louisville, more than the Petrino scandals and whatnot, it was the fact that he left them, and then they brought it back. You know, it was like, oh well, you didn't want us, and now we're taking you back. And there were some weird feelings there, but then he won, and he had Lamar Jackson, and they were winning Heisman trophies, and so I think people were willing to overlook that. But if you're ranking 120th in total offense, and you know, like I said about Malzahn, Petrino's calling card is his offense. So if you can't move the ball, you can't score points, and you're Bobby Petrino, I don't know what you're doing. And Louisville's not recruiting well at all.
No.
There's no sign of life in that program.
You know he has like multiple family members on the staff there at Louisville?
Yeah, that's not really shocking.
Like multiple son-in-laws, and like the staff is just not good, and it's clearly showing on the field.
Well, I mean, his brother Paul was a coordinator at Arkansas and didn't appear super qualified to be that. And then after Bobby left or was shown the door, Paul ended up at Idaho, which, I mean, look, it is what it is, but
right.
Idaho's not exactly lighting the world on fire with Paul as the head coach there. So, you know, nepotism is only cool if everybody's qualified. It doesn't really feel like anybody's qualified.
How about this little stat from the Courier-Journal? Only 22 of the ACC's 140 assistant coaches have 5 or fewer years of experience as a full-time on-field coach at high school, college, or NFL level. 4 of them are at Louisville. And 3 of the 4 are Petrino's relatives.
Wow.
His son Nick is a QB coach, son-in-law LD Scott is defensive line coach, and son-in-law Ryan Beard is the safeties coach. It is time Louisville separates themselves from the Petrinos.
Yeah, kind of agree. Might be time for all of them to get their resume ready, and I'm not really sure what job is going to be
Maybe
available
they all
to
can
them.
go to Idaho.
They should all go to Idaho.
It's perfect.
I hear it's lovely this time of year.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. Is that enough? Are you good on Petrino?
I'm good.
Okay. I don't really have a great segue for this, but catfish time. And Penn State is the unlikely victim this week because it looked for all the world like James Franklin had officially taken Penn State to the top of the Big Ten. They were about to topple Ohio State, vault themselves into the discussion for top 1, 2, 3 team in the country. 13-point lead, fourth quarter, and then Ohio State scored 14 straight points, and Penn State lost.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, everybody is going to point to the last play that Penn State ran, 4th down and 5, and they go inside zone. And that's fine, but Penn State lost that game a handful of different ways. They had many different opportunities to take control of that game. Obviously, early in the game, they had complete control, and then a Miles Sanders fumble in his own territory put him in a tough spot, kind of gave Ohio State some life. And even late, you know, the ball that Haskins throws to a receiver whose name I cannot even remember, and I should because hell of a run after the catch. But that looked like something out of a video game. First of all, the ball was thrown behind him, not the Dwayne Haskins thread and the needle throw that you might have thought if you were listening on the radio.
He was not great the whole game.
Now, he was a little off the entire game, and that throw could have easily been incomplete or even picked off. Instead, it's caught, and then he just weaves in and out of tackle. I mean, the worst tackling I've ever seen. It looked like he was playing Madden on rookie and ends up in the end zone. That's terrible. But on that 4th down and 5 play, there have been a lot of like really hot takes, like, oh my God, that they must have given that no thought. That was the dumbest play I've ever heard in my life. I've listened to multiple podcasts and TV shows now that are just killing Franklin for that play call. It wasn't that bad in terms of the actual X's and O's, because what essentially happened is that Penn State came out and lined up, and they saw the way Ohio State lined up, and it was a look that they had been trying to find, and previously in the game, they had shifted Sanders in the backfield, and they saw the reaction that the Ohio State defense had to that shift, and essentially it was just the mic flipped to the strong side, and he was a little late in moving, and this time he was a little late in moving, and when they flip the back and then they go inside zone away from the back, it creates good numbers. You've got either a hat on a hat, worst case, or best case, you've got 4 blocking 3. Problem is, that's X's and O's, But in this situation, and in most situations, like Bill Belichick says, you got to consider the Jimmies and Joes. And in this case, the Jimmy was the kid at quarterback for Penn State. And McSorley is having the game of his life, and in that situation, when you go inside zone, you take the ball out of his hands, which I don't love. And so you take it away from the best Jimmy, and then the Joes on the other side, proven across the board in that game, the Ohio State defensive line had won over and over and over again when they went with basically any running play that wasn't McSorley on the carry.
McSorley was the only ball carrier that had a rush for more than 5 yards.
Yeah.
The entire game.
Yeah. So X's and O's are great until you ignore the fact that their Joes are better than yours and that, your quarterback is, I don't know.
The best player on the field all night.
Best player on the field all night. And so I get the venom. I understand. Believe me. You got to put the ball in McSorley's hands there. Franklin just outthought himself. Offensively, as a staff, I mean, he took the blame for it. I don't know whose bright idea it was, but he signed off on it. And they outthought themselves, and that's how they ended up losing the game on that play. But it was a culmination of things that led to that moment where Ohio State was able to steal another one in Happy Valley. So
this is 2 years in a row now that Penn State has completely blown a game to Ohio State. Last year in Columbus, they led 35-20 in the fourth quarter and lost. And this year, you're up 12 or 13 with 8 minutes to go and lose at home. In the toughest environment in college football that everyone wanted to anoint it, which it may very well may be, but you can't blow that lead. And then Franklin gets into it with a student leaving the field. Literally has to be restrained. I don't know if you saw that. Someone had to grab him and pull him away from the railing.
From a student.
A student.
And that's his home stadium. He knows where the student section is.
And you brought up a good point when we were talking before the show. He didn't call out his family or threaten to kill him.
No, he just didn't like the call.
Yeah.
Nobody else liked the call either.
And then in the post-game press conference, while he did take responsibility for the call, he just went on this tirade about how they lost to an elite program. They're good. They're good. Penn State's a good program.
Comfortable with being good.
Yeah.
We're not going to be comfortable anymore.
Shut up. Just stop. 2 years in a row, you should have beaten this elite program. You didn't lose to them because they're elite. That's not why you lost.
No.
You lost because you didn't finish. Just didn't finish the game.
You lost because you couldn't run the ball effectively at any point in the night. You had a kid having the game of his life, and when it mattered most, you beat your head against the wall and tried to run the ball again instead of giving the ball to the kid who was having the night.
And you couldn't tackle on defense. And last year, you let J.T. Barrett carve you up in the fourth quarter. If you let J.T. Barrett carve you up, that's on you.
Hey, shots fired.
That's on you. But just take the responsibility for not being able to beat this team. It's not because they're elite. I don't know. It seemed like deflecting to me.
It was.
It seemed forced, and Penn State wanted to make this some rallying cry, and I thought it was gross.
I'm with you. Real gross. I wanted to mention this. Probably going to have to fast forward through it because we're not looking super awesome on time, but wanted to give a shout out to the hospitality in Starkville this past weekend. And I was in town from Mississippi State, Florida, which obviously didn't go the way that anybody in Starkville. The Dan Mullen Bowl, which did not go the way that the folks there wanted it to. But Starkville's a pretty cool place. It's
never been. Need to get there.
The entire community is behind that team, unlike any place I've ever been, and that's no diss track at Norman or Fayetteville or whatever. It's just a different kind of feel in Starkville. It's like the small town America. We love our team more than anything kind of a thing. And most important thing that happened all weekend was I was given my first cowbell. So
yeah, I did not know this, but you have to be given
your
first cowbell.
You have to be given your first cowbell. You are not permitted to purchase your first cowbell. So good friend of mine at Mississippi State who has, over the course of the past year, brought me in and showed me to his Mississippi State family, and everybody has been awesome. But he and his girlfriend gave Katie and I our first cowbell.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we rang the hell out of it. We tried, we did all we could, made all the noise we could. It didn't work. But the place was pretty electric at kickoff. It was like the perfect combination of pride and hate for Dan Mullen, and the defense is as advertised. Obviously Kentucky scores 28 on them, and a lot of that comes late. Florida scores late, what have you.
On a trick play. The only touchdown they scored was that.
It was a phenomenal call.
Yeah.
They had been just dumping the ball off in the flats all day long, and it seemed like the most boring offense Florida could possibly ever put together. And then, lo and behold, it seemed like Mullen was playing for that one play. And he got it, and they bid, and they scored. But, nonetheless, the defense was really, really great. Willie Gay, in particular, was awesome to watch. And I think a quarterback change may be coming for Hail State.
I'm surprised you didn't see it in person.
Me and 60-some thousand other people were all surprised we didn't. I don't know what Moorhead is waiting on. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be the knee-jerk reaction coach.
Right.
And Nicky Fitz has done a lot for that program. I mean, he'll probably, I'm guessing this week, if things go remotely well, will become the SEC's all-time leading rusher as a quarterback.
It's impressive.
And that's passing a couple of dudes named Tim Tebow and Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
So it's not that Nick Fitzgerald doesn't have the resume to back up a long leash. But at this point, they are officially losing games because of the quarterback play. And their defense was exhausted on Saturday because they could not move the chains, and the defense was on the field forever.
Yeah.
And it finally kind of started to get to them a little bit late in the game. But that defense is really, really, really good. And anyway, so shout out to Starkville. Appreciate you guys. There was more to the story I wanted to tell, but we need to get to the cover 4.
Let's do it. Let's hand out some free money. How did you do last week? I feel like you did much better than me.
I had
my week.
I had a pretty good week. I went 6-3 overall. My very good dog played very good.
Yeah, you're 2-1, man.
I know, and my 2 have been triumphant.
Yeah,
my
not
2
even
have
close.
been in style.
Yeah.
So
Army beat Buffalo like 42-13.
Smacked Buffalo, and I mean,
Listen
I don't know
to this guy.
Well, yeah. Listen to me unless I'm trying to tell you to pick Minnesota, in which case stay far, far away. One game that I'm definitely not going to tell you to pick this week, but Oklahoma is only giving 7.5 points to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when the 2 play, you throw everything out. I would never, ever touch this game in a million years. But in a vacuum, doesn't that seem like kind of a low spread?
It does. It does. Kyler Murray is averaging 11 yards of play right now.
Which, that seems good. That feels good to me, right?
Yeah, especially when you look at
the fact that you only need 10 for a first down.
That, and Maryland lit this defense up. I know they appeared to be better since then, but they also have not played anyone named Kyler Murray or had to cover anyone like the Oklahoma receivers. So I would agree with you. I also want nothing to do with this game.
All right, well, that's settled. What game do you want something to do with?
I will go to the Big Ten first, and
Okay.
I will pick on one of the worst teams in the country, in Rutgers.
Oh, yay.
Illinois is somehow only a 4-point favorite. I know Illinois has been nowhere near the best program in the country in recent years, but they are better this year.
They were good for 3 quarters against Penn State.
Yes, they were very good for 3 quarters against Penn State. They gave South Florida, who is undefeated, all they wanted. And Rutgers gives up 36 points a game. Their average margin of loss is 31 points this year. It's 31.
That's not good.
Yeah, Illinois is just better, and they're giving 4 points. I think they'll win by more than a touchdown. I like that one a lot.
Okay. I like that one a lot too, actually. Now I'm sold. I wasn't sold before, but now I am.
Good.
What about the Orange? Syracuse -4. They're on the road. They're at Pitt. But I don't really know that matters that they're at Pitt. They're at Heinz Field.
Let me tell you, there is no home field advantage. No one goes to those games. Have you ever seen them? It's a joke. It's a joke. Pitt's a joke. I'm sorry. No, they can't beat North Carolina. No one goes to their games unless Penn State's playing, because then it's just all Penn State fans. Or when West Virginia plays there for the backyard brawl, because everyone comes to that from West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
But I'm telling you, no one goes to their games. It's really bad.
Okay. Well,
So
you
there
kind
is
of
no.
did it for me here, but I mean,
I'm sorry. I
feel
just had to get on that little tangent.
I forgot who I was talking to
I had to
whenever
get that
I
jab
tried to
in.
throw Pitt under the bus, but I mean,
I'll gladly do it.
the Orange appeared to be legitimately good.
I could not have been more impressed with the way they played at
And
Syracuse.
Pitt appears to be legitimately not good, and I don't know.
What's the spread?
It's 4,
Okay.
and it's dropped the points since I did show prep. So hang out, because apparently it's only going to get better.
There you go.
If that thing gets down there 2.5, 3.
Oh, I'll take that.
All day, right?
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I like Syracuse a lot.
I do too.
What else you got?
'Cause there is no home field advantage. I will go to a game that we have live on FloFootball.
Yeah, we do.
South Florida and UMass.
What's up?
It is South Florida's a favorite, minus 13.5. UMass gives up 1 million points and yards every game.
Approximately, yes.
Approximately, in case you want the real numbers, it's 42.7 points, which is 126 in the country.
I like a million better.
Yes. They gave up 58 points to Ohio last week.
It's good for a dramatic effect.
So, Blake Barnett has been rolling. He's finally found.
It only took him 5 schools.
It only took him 5 schools, but he has that fit through 4 games, 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, 8 through the air, 4 on the ground. UMass, they ran the ball for 41 yards last week against a defense that in Ohio that gives up 1 million points itself. So if you can't run the ball in Ohio, you ain't run the ball in South Florida, and Andrew Ford ain't lighting up that South Florida secondary. So give me South Florida by 1 million.
By a million. Take
By
that.
1 million. Take it to the bank.
We brought up Kentucky. We brought up Texas A&M.
We did.
You stole my cool stat.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I'm all in on Kentucky now, okay? I love the Wildcats. Big Mark Stoops guy.
Oklahoma should trade
I
Stoops.
wish that some of Mark's defensive play calling would rub off on his brother, but that's neither here nor there. This is in College Station.
It is.
It's going to be very loud. And the Aggies are a 2-loss team, as we mentioned before, but they've lost to a pair of teams called Alabama and Clemson. Ever heard of them?
I have, actually.
So that's not super great. And then, thanks to your research, I also learned that A&M ranks 5th in the country against the run. And as you also pointed out, Kentucky not super great at throwing the ball. So I'm a little worried now. Initially, I was in on Kentucky 5.5. I'm like, I like it. Let's go. Let's ride with the Wildcats. I think I might have done a 180 just in the last hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I like A&M. I especially like A&M if this number moves just a smidge and get me down around 4. Now we're talking.
This feels like one of those teams where the magic is going to run out and it's not going to be pretty.
You think?
I'm not saying it's going to be this week. I'm just saying when the magic, it's like Ryan Fitzpatrick. When the Fitzmagic runs out, and it hits midnight, it's going to be ugly.
Okay.
And it could snowball. And I'm not
I was
saying
just thinking
maybe
they'll lose to A&M.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll lose to Georgia, but they still go 10-2.
Oh, I don't mean the season. I just mean the game.
Oh,
Like,
the game, okay.
could like snowball and be
Sure.
out of control. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Okay.
So I like that a lot, actually.
Okay, well, there it is. I flipped.
Even
my
though
notes,
I said I was
say,
going to stop hating on Kentucky, maybe I'm not.
my notes say Kentucky plus 5.5, but damn the notes.
And,
A&M.
I don't. Jimbo was clearly not happy with the way that they played last week against Arkansas. He was pretty upset on the sidelines.
The Arkansas Whisperer saw that coming, though, so he should have just...
You did.
I mean, I could have told
What
him.
do you got this week for Alabama? What is it, 35-point spread?
I don't know, Alabama by 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the Big Ten. Wisconsin giving 20, against Nebraska at home, Camp Randall. I was on the right side of Purdue last week with Nebraska. Nebraska can't stop anybody.
No.
They give up 38 points per game. They give up 160 on the ground to teams that aren't that good on the ground. And Wisconsin's very good on the ground. And they're also very good on defense. They only give up 14 points a game. I don't see Nebraska scoring very many at all. I think Wisconsin controls the clock and runs the ball at will and wins running away. I'll take the Badgers in 20 points.
No argument here.
Yeah. Scott Frost will turn around Nebraska. It's just not going
It's
to
not
be
yet.
this year.
Yes. Okay, now the moment we've all been waiting for. Who is your very good dog this week, Kyle Brackey?
My very good dog makes no sense because I ripped them last week. But Virginia Tech, I don't know what it is. I didn't like a lot of the underdogs this week. But when I see this one, Notre Dame, they always lose a game that they probably shouldn't, except the one year when they went undefeated. And Manti Te'o had a fake girlfriend. But
Is she still dead?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
confirmed. But they're getting 5.5. It's at home, Lane Stadium. As a West Virginia fan, I know it is extremely tough to go in there at night. Place is going to be jazzed up. They really thought they were going to have College Game Day there, but then they lost to Old Dominion. So it turns out when you lose to Old Dominion, College Game Day won't go there. I don't know, man. I like this. I know Ryan Willis, the Kansas transfer last week. I know you were on him.
Tell you, man, KU just helping everybody out.
Yeah, except themselves. They threw for over 300 yards and 3 scores on a previously undefeated Duke team that the defense was the bright spot. I don't know. I don't know what it is. This game just stuck out to me. Maybe it's that Lane Stadium magic. They get it jumping there with Enter Sandman. And I'll take the Hokies getting 5.5. I think it's come down a little bit. That might have been a bigger spread before.
Well, all they have to be is an underdog, and it still counts.
No, I know. I think it might have opened around 7 is what I'm saying, though.
Okay.
But give me the Hokies.
All right.
I'm 1-2 on the year with these. Just,
That's okay.
yeah.
You get back to 500. It's a brand new week.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to ride with my new friends in Starkville. I'm going Mississippi State again.
Also, you've sold me on yours, too.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like talking about the defense and that struggling Auburn offense.
Yeah, so check it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're looking through the lens of the Florida game on this. But I think Nick Fitzgerald, despite his accomplishments, is going to have a short leash moving forward. I cannot imagine that Joe Moorhead is going to continue to sacrifice the entire offensive flow waiting for Fitzgerald to get it going again. So I would look for Keaton Thompson to, at some point, come into this game if Fitzgerald struggles. Which, thank God, because somebody needs to throw that offensive life raft in the worst possible way.
Well, I mean, why not?
I mean, it couldn't hurt, right? You can't be worse.
Yeah.
Auburn's not going to move the ball at all. I do not believe in the Auburn offense. If you pressure Stidham, he's a different quarterback. The Mississippi State front four is out of this world. Their linebackers are very impressive as well. One of the best defenses in the country. I think Stidham is going to know Montez Sweat very good by the end of this game. And so I feel like worst case scenario, it's like identical to the game that State just lost. But if it is identical, I have to believe that Moorhead goes to Thompson. And dogs getting 3.5 at home. What does my man Brent Musburger always say?
There's nothing better than a home team getting points.
There's nothing better than a home team getting points. So I'm going to roll with Mississippi State. I'm going to ring the hell out of my cowbell. Hail State.
What a tough 3-game stretch for Mississippi State. Go Kentucky, Florida,
it's the SEC,
Auburn.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was like surprised with the Kentucky schedule.
No, I get it, but Mississippi State
when you're in the East, I guess.
Yeah, well, right now, the
right
East
now,
is down,
yeah.
so sure,
Right.
But yeah. Yep, Hail State. Is Efren still back there? Hey, Efren, raise your hand if we need to wrap this up at some point, but it's kind of your fault that we're running late, so we're just going to keep going until you tell me not to.
Yeah, hard wrap right now.
Okay. So like Efren said, we're going to keep rocking.
Let's go.
NFL quick hits. That's what time it is. I don't really have anything super in mind to talk about because I was on a boat in the middle of a river on Sunday while the majority of the action was going on. I did go back and review my Dallas Cowboys performance. I'm not super jacked up about it.
You have to be happy, though, that
I'm happy
they got
we won.
Zeke the ball.
Yeah, it's great that we won.
Not even that you won. I mean, obviously you want to win, but you're getting Zeke the ball at least.
Yeah, as opposed to like any other possible plan for...
Dak threw for over 200 yards.
He did. Congratulations, Dak. Way to go, buddy. Over
First
200.
time in, I think, 6 games.
It's because I brought the good vibes to Starkville. And just carried over to my Cowboys.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of which, my Cowbell has a Dallas Cowboys star on it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Cowboys are like
I'm sure they're big Cowboys
fans. They're
fans
the team of
now.
Starkville, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, my guy knew that I was a big Cowboys fan, so he hooked it up. Yeah, man, Dak went over 200, and Zeke had the third best game of his career statistically. I just hate that it took a career game from Zeke for us to squeak by the Lions on a game-winning field goal in the fourth quarter.
Hey, they're coming off a win over the Patriots.
I don't.
Golden Tate is the most annoying player in the NFL.
Why?
Because he always makes big plays.
And then backs into the end zone.
Yeah. Oh, and he's
That was so obnoxious.
showboater.
That was so obnoxious.
Also, he was the one that caught that Fail Mary. Caught. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I caught it. And as a Packers fan, I lost my damn mind.
This always ties back to whoever it is that you have a personal vendetta with based on your fandom. No, it's okay. I can, if it makes you feel any better.
Okay, yeah.
My brother had Aaron Rodgers in fantasy that week, and he was playing me, and I lost the game on the Fail Mary. I'm sorry. My brother had Russell Wilson.
Oh, okay.
I lost the game on the Fail Mary.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure many other NFL fan bases think that about Golden Tate. The dude just makes plays. He's a really good player, and he went off 2 touchdowns, like 130 yards receiving. He's really good. Yeah. He's got to annoy a lot of fan bases.
Well, I'd have been annoyed if we lost, but we didn't. I watched Pat Mahomes on my Delta flight, which, man, Delta's doing big things with their airplanes.
It sounds like it. It sounds like you were flying luxury.
I was flying normal person class, but it felt like luxury. Had like the cool little headrest thing going on. Yeah. Had the screen in the back of the seat in front of me. I mean, I love Southwest Airlines, but...
Oh, I'm a Delta guy.
Yeah, we don't have the luxuries like that on the... The one thing we do have with Southwest Airlines is that our flights actually like take off and land when they're supposed to, which is pretty convenient. Whereas with Delta, that almost is never the case.
Oh, see, I've had really good experience with Delta. It's usually United that sucks.
Oh, well, we can both agree on United.
Yeah.
I think us and everybody else in the world can agree on United. I've not had super great luck with Delta, but all is forgiven because I got to watch the entire second half of Monday Night Football from the headrest in the seat in front of me.
The only other person that I have ever seen throw the ball with his non-throwing hand and complete it is Brett Favre. And he didn't even do it like Mahomes. Favre just kind of like... It was like an option pitch.
Yeah, I had to see it a second time because I thought it was
I didn't realize it either. You didn't realize it until like ESPN slowed it down and like showed you from the other angle. He it was like a shot put, but still it was a pass motion.
The guy across the aisle from me literally did this involuntary thing with his arms when that happened, and then I looked over and realized he was watching the same game I was. So yeah, Mahomes is the man.
Yeah, he's really good.
Speaking of which, that same guy, as soon as we landed the plane, stood up in the aisle for the full 15-minute taxi to the gate, which, is that not the most annoying thing that a human being can? Why do so many people do it?
Yes. Yeah. When we land and you're in row 30.
I just don't, like, you're not getting off the plane anytime in the near future. No. And also, like, this is like in our society, in our civilization here in the United States, and I hope in the world, there is an order of operations here. It's the row in front of you, left to right, back and forth, all the way back to you. There's no cutting.
Right.
You don't get to hop up early and run to the front of the... That's not how this works.
But people try to do it on every single plane.
It absolutely drives me nuts. I can't sit in the aisle for that reason. I feel like I'm going to have like a physical confrontation every time I'm in the... Because they're all up in your business, and they got their bags swinging in your face or whatever, and I'm like...
And they're just standing there.
All for what? So you can stand and wait.
Right.
I'm going to sit here and relax. And we're both going to get off the plane at the exact same time. So
I agree. You know what else is annoying? Mike McCarthy's play calling.
Oh, that's a good segue. Nice job.
Thank you.
Tell me about it.
Oh, well, Aaron Rodgers was literally criticizing it in post-game press conference. I don't know. Aaron was right. He's like, we didn't get the playmakers the ball when they should have. We didn't get in the right plays. He was very openly critical.
Which I'm sure you appreciated.
I do. Defense was outstanding. We shut out the Bills, but scored 2 touchdowns and had almost 500 yards of offense. That was the problem. Is you have almost 500 yards of offense. You only scored 2 touchdowns. Settling for field goals. Just a bunch of little underneath dink and dunk stuff. And then a lot of times on like 3rd and 10, just running like draw plays, just pretty much punting on 3rd down. When you have Aaron Rodgers, why are you doing that?
Well, devil's advocate, maybe it was because they were playing the Bills, and unlike the Vikings, they actually could stop the Bills from scoring.
Yeah, I don't know. We will do that against good teams, so.
You have anything positive to say about the NFL?
Clay Matthews got a sack and didn't get kicked out of the game for it. It was hilarious.
Progress.
He like didn't use his hands at all. He just like chest bumped Josh Allen.
All right, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. 1 week
I'm
without a rant about roughing the passer
Yeah.
and bodyweight rules.
I'm 4-0 in fantasy.
Oh, good job, man.
Thank you.
I'm 2-2. We're rallied back to back wins.
I've been lucky. Alvin Kamara is a savior.
Yeah.
I didn't even start Cooper Kupp this week, and he had like 30 points.
Are you worried about Mark Ingram coming back?
I'm sure it will cost him a few points, but he still gets his when Ingram's in the lineup.
True. Backs only. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about today?
No, I think it was a really good show.
I agree.
Good
job, us.
Ready for another awesome weekend of football. Will you be? Oh, you're going to Dallas. Yeah. I knew that.
Oh, you Texas.
That's right.
Boomer.
Yeah.
That's the part where you
Sooner.
There
Sorry.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
Good
not.
job.
I'm not.